Welcome to Young Views. Here with me are students from Caleb British International School, Maputo. Today we'll be looking at the school of thought that says, is examination a true test of knowledge or not? So I'll begin from my right hand, Tito. What are some common reasons why students struggle with exams?
Okay, thank you very much. The main reason for me has to be lack of preparedness and motivation. A lot of students are not so motivated to put in efforts in their academics or even study for exams because they may have a bit of low self-esteem, they may not feel like school is the right place for them, they may not feel smart in their own abilities, they may not even feel like they're good at like things that are related to academics. So they tend to draw back and just try to treat it as like a very blue scale, nothing that really needs any concern or needs any efforts.
Alright, thank you very much. And I'll be asking the next question, which is to Olivia. How does lack of preparation or poor study habits contribute to exam failures on the part of the student?
I believe that learning takes place from the moment teacher enters the class the first time. And if you don't focus and apply maximum concentration, weeks turn into months, and when it's time for the exam, you won't have adequate resources to prepare, so you resort to cramming. And there's only so much you can cram. Cramming is reading to pass, and in order for you to pass an exam, you have to read to understand. So when you cram, you not pass the exam properly. You're going to pass, but you're not going to pass, like you're not going to reach your expected grade because you did not understand what you learned.
Alright, thank you very much. Now to Motrayo, how can teachers and educators support students in preparing for their exams and overcoming exam challenges?
So I believe that a lot of people don't really have confidence going into exam. So what teachers and educators can do is that the few weeks before exam, they start giving them all these areas that this place, make sure they start emphasizing on it to give people hints because what people will pick up on it. And for people who aren't really that confident, they can meet them also and just go to them and tell them that you're doing well. Just saying you're doing well or you are good enough, it goes a long way to somebody, so they can really help them to prepare for their exams.
Thank you so much. So it can actually support and help students to overcome challenges. So to terminate, what strategies can students use to improve their studying routines?
Well, I'm of the opinion that first, the major thing that you can do to pass every and any exam is passion. We're in a world now where most students don't really care about their studies or they're just too busy with something else outside of school. So they just always do school, they come for classes, write the exams because they have to, not because they necessarily like the classes or they necessarily like the subjects. And that's a major problem when it comes down to you writing that exam and passing. Because if you do not like the subject, if you do not like your classes enough to actually want to get a pass, enough to actually understand it enough for you to apply it, you can never pass the exams. And there are other various ways that you can prepare for, that you can enhance your studying routines. There are several techniques like the female techniques, the 1, 2, 3, 4 techniques. But I'm of the opinion that due to how different every individual or every student is, these techniques will not necessarily do anything for students. You being able to properly or study enough for you to actually pass all comes down to you understanding yourself and your books enough to devise a way, a special way for you to pass. So I'm of the opinion that proper studying routine comes down to you actually understanding yourself.
Thank you very much. Now to Kelisha, what role does anxiety play in exam performance?
In my opinion, the main cause of anxiety is pressure that was put on you before the exam started. Because if you get to the exam and you see the questions, you start thinking about how you're going to pass, what if you fail, and then your mind will become so clogged and you'd get so agitated and you wouldn't really understand the questions. and then yes, your exam score may drop, and then you would feel your self-esteem would decrease.
All right, thank you very much. So lastly to Ivy, what advice would you give to students who have experienced exam failure and are looking to improve in their performance?
Okay, so in my opinion, you're basically talking about resilience here. People have this mindset that once you fail if you fail once, then you cannot go back to where exactly where. But I don't believe that. I feel you can push back and get a higher score than you got the last time. And how you can do this: sit down, look at the questions, look at the topic that you know you failed, or particular areas that you did not read, and then you sit down, read that, and then I'm very sure that you can get a better score next time.
It was nice hearing you all speak and getting your perspective. But we want to look at this discussion now in full and detail. Is examination a trick test of performance for students? I really want us to engage this conversation because there is a school of thought that says examination is a test of performance or examination is not a true test of performance. So, beginning from Tito, let me hear from you.
Okay, personally, for me, the examination is not a true test of knowledge or performance or capabilities because I believe that we all have different levels of knowledge, different levels of smartness, so to say. We're all just built differently and we just understand differently. We all have different capabilities. We're unique. We can express ourselves in different ways. So confining us to a particular method of testing us based on what you taught us in school doesn't actually show the full capabilities of a student or that person in general.
Alright, so Kelisha, do you agree with that?
With what Tito said, yes, I do. Because if, as you're in the class, and like she said, we have different levels of understanding. Some people make grab things easily and some may not. Some people are very slow in processing information. I could be in a class and they're teaching a topic and I don't really understand it. And then when I get to the exam, it's just based on what I was taught in the class. And I'm blank, I don't understand. So yes, I do agree with what you said.
Motora, do you agree to what Tito and Kelisha said?
Absolutely not. I don't agree. I think that examinations, are a test of knowledge, the knowledge that you have learned in class, because knowledge is broad. There are different aspects to it. The aspect that they have taught you is what they're going to test in the examination. And so, you can't just say, for example, say that if you don't understand what you were taught in class, you can go on with it. Of course, not everybody learns the same, everybody has different needs, but there are techniques for people to adapt. We need to learn that thing called adaptation, you adapt to different environments. If you're in a place where it is, like let's say you're used to the cold, and then you now go to a place that's extremely hot, will you now say that the place should become cold just because you can't adapt to it? You have to learn techniques to adapt to your situation. If you don't understand some certain topics, I like to say push your strengths. If you don't understand this topic in this subject, because examination is across all subjects, if you don't understand this subject, push the subject that you know the most. And if you are not good in all of them, go meet your teachers, go ask people in your class, and ask them for their opinion, ask them if they can explain so that you can become better. That's it.
Do you agree to that?
Okay, so I would actually strongly disagree to what she said, yes. Okay, so let's narrow it down to school. We have something in sociology called standardized testing. That is basically the paper that everybody sits down for exams for. And yes, in sociology, there's also something called the postmodernist theory, which has to do with progressive schooling, that students learning at their own pace, right? And yes, like she said, they all said, everybody learns at their own pace, everybody has their strengths and everybody has their weaknesses. And so everybody just sitting down and writing the test or sitting down and listening to a teacher in class, that's not how everybody would actually learn. Some people learn visually, some learn with audio, and so because of that, everybody has their different cognitive skills and critical thinking. So yes, I feel like testing people based on just what they have learned in class wouldn't actually bring out, it makes some people seem dull and some gifted basically. But yes, I feel using their cognitive skills and critical thinking can actually like put them in groups, put them in, partner them up. Like in Finland, for example, there are no papers, there's no standardized testing, right? So people are tested based on their cognitive skills and critical thinking skills. And yes, because of that, most students are like gifted, basically, yes. So I feel using not only paper, yes, you can still use standardized testing, but I feel like practical works and all, yes, would also help students.
Well, I would like to react to that. These practical tests and the different ways it's still an examination. Though it's a different way of examination. When I say examination, I don't mean just the writing down. It can be a practical examination, it can be an oral examination, it's still an examination. So yes, they're testing them based on their different cognitive skills, but it's still an exam.
Okay, so tell me, what do you have to say concerning this?
Well, I support what Ivy said to a very large extent, and I will start by quoting the words of Albert Einstein. And he said, if you put a fish on a tree and you expect and you tell it to jump, it will live its entire life thinking it's not smart enough. We can use that to view the debates right now, in the sense that the complexity of the human brain is beyond our imagination. There are several students in an average school. There are going to be about 20 students in a class, and in that class we have the students that want to be footballers. We have the students that want to be artists. We have the students that they don't even want to do school. They want to do business. So these different passions, these different humans, the way their brains will function is going to be so different. And you making them sit a particular exam, the same set of exam, and judging them based off of that exam alone is not actually the true test of knowledge. That's a proper example should be the prize giving days that school hosts. Why exactly is the best in math different from the best in English? Why is the best in social studies different from the best in history? If exam is actually a true test of how smart you are, I'm of the opinion that one student should be the best in every single subject that they offer. But the fact that this is not so goes to show that the human mind, the way people will get things, the way people will write their exams, to what extent they would actually pass that exam is not, them even writing that exam is not necessarily the true test of knowledge. We cannot get the true test of knowledge based off any exam because of the complexity of the human mind. It's just not possible.
A great conversation so far. So moving forward, I want to ask Olivia, what are the distractions that students face now?
The distraction that students face is peer pressure. Peer pressure because your friends are doing something, you want to do it. Because your friends are skipping class, you want to skip class. Because your friends are doing something wrong, you want to do it too. But I feel like peer pressure, or what you say is a distraction, like it's only you that can determine what's a distraction to you. Because it's you that gets to choose the friends you hang around with. It's you that gets to choose what and how they influence you. So I feel like it's a distraction, but it's also not really a distraction.
So in your opinion, peer pressure is a distraction that students face. Alright, Tito, what would you say are the distractions that students face?
I think that social media and technology can be one of the biggest distractions we have currently, because personally, I have to say the people around me or people that I know spend a lot more time on the entertainment and relaxation and not really much more time on their academics. And I'm not trying to say that our entire life should be based on academics, or we should devote a certain amount of time or a large percentage of it to focus on our academics to prepare us for our future and things like that.
Alright, so moving on, I would want to ask Ivy, who is responsible for the success or failure of student examination?
Okay, so I think it's actually debatable. Yes, we can see that sometimes the students actually do not prepare. Sometimes they just want to lay it off. They just want to relax. They don't want to actually be able to actually pass this exam. But in some cases, I feel like the environment that the student is in, the family that the student is in, can actually affect how they actually respond to these exams, right? Okay, so yes, we'll go back to sociology, and I'll quote the self-fulfilling prophecy, which states that or labeling theory, which states that what society labels a student or a person to be as maybe deviant or not smart can actually like affect how they think about themselves. Yes, and so to narrow it back to examinations, yes. A student with the self-fulfilling prophecy that they're dull or they're not smart enough as other students can make them like just sit back or not even push themselves to the limits that in which they can go. Yes.
Alright, so natural.
Right. So the fault is of both sides. It actually depends on the case and the student. You can see the cases where the student is irresponsible or the student doesn't really care. And you can also take a case where a student who's having trouble at home, that trouble that at home can affect the person mentally, that's not allowing the person to receive an understanding. You can also take the case of someone whose teachers who are very well, good, that the teachers don't really teach well. You can also take up the case of somebody who the teacher teaches well, but they just don't want to listen. So it actually depends on the case of the person. You cannot just generalize it. Success depends on the case of the person you're looking at, the type of person, the type of environment they're in, like she said, and also like she rightly said, the self-esteem of that person. Somebody labels themselves as a dullard, then they will become a dullard. Is what you say to yourself is what you are. And also what society labels you. It said, if you treated I am what you make me, it's a quote that I really like, I am what you make me. If you treat someone like a criminal, that person will grow up to become a criminal. If you treat them like, oh, that this person on a pedestal, that person will see themselves as that way. So yeah.
In my opinion, it's on both sides. It can be the teacher's fault and the student's fault. As for the teacher, you have to create a safe space for your student. If your student doesn't understand and you're the type of person to bite or to ridicule the child or the student because they do not understand, they are not going to feel comfortable, or their learning space, their learning environment with you is not going to feel neutral, and it's going to like be very strange. As for the student, you have the choice to be responsible and to be attention deficit. So yes, it's both efforts.
Alright, it has been an amazing conversation so far as regarding the academics and the performance of students. We have gone so far to see that both parents, both teachers, both the student himself can contribute to their performance. Until next time, I'll say bye to our audience.